Welcome to Soul and Synergy Radio. Soul and Synergy Radio is dedicated to exploring the mysteries of the universe and our place in it. Your hosts, Terry and Danny, are the owners of Soul and Synergy LLC, based in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Each week, they will be delving into topics that are part of the metaphysical and paranormal world, along with spiritual practices that help us connect with our higher selves and tap into the energy of the cosmos. The show will feature interviews with members of the metaphysical and paranormal community, sharing their knowledge and insights with their listeners. Whether you're new to this world or an experienced seeker, Soul and Synergy has something for everyone. Now, your hosts, Terry Flick and Danny Loosemore.
Hello, everyone. Welcome
Good
to Soul and
morning.
Synergy Radio.
Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
All right. I just want to double check this is new to me. So
welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. It's Friday again. Really quickly, it's Friday. For Terry and I, it always seems like it's Friday right the next day because
always.
we're so very busy. And we also have Patty here with us today.
Hi.
Patty's going to be giving some messages here after the 10:30 break. So we also
Morning,
have
Diet.
What's that?
Oh, I just see Diet joined us.
Oh, so we're also very excited to have on our show today, starting at around 11, Jenny Lee, who is an international remote viewer and seer, and someone that has recently connected with us, and we're very excited to have her on the show and be a part of our other shows as well.
Yeah. She's going to be joining us. Her first whatever. Words are going to be hard this morning. Debut with us is going to be in Detroit Lakes, Minnesota at that show. So,
yeah, wonderful. The first time I've ever talked to someone who is a remote viewer.
yeah, me too. I've been curious about it. So, hopefully we get a lot of answers today. So,
Yeah, definitely. I just, when you think of remote viewing, the only things I think of are the things we've heard on Gaia. The people that find things like for the military or something like that.
right.
So
Yeah,
I'm sure.
I think this is kind of what she does in a way. I mean, she does work on cases for the police department and police departments and stuff as well. So, yeah, it'll be really interesting to find all those things out, how she does it and how long she's been doing all those good things,
It'll be great to have her insight, definitely, for sure. But we have a lot of fun stuff going on in our world too, whether it be fairs coming up or our store or expanding in other areas. We're always busy.
Always busy.
Yeah.
So let's promote the shows real quick and get that over with. And I like being in my office because I can see my board that I work off of.
There you go.
So next weekend, lacrosse at the Radisson. We're going to be there. We have over 30 vendors for that show. And it ranges from, I don't know, Reiki to, of course, merchandise and crystal ball readings with Mary. And what else are we doing? Oh, tons of psychics, and Diet will be there with us. Christina will be there with us. And it's just growing and growing and growing. So,
and Patty will be there too.
Yeah,
Patty will be there. Yep. So that's our next show, and then we're on the road the next weekend. We are in Alexandria on May 20th, Alexandria, Minnesota, and then we are at Detroit Lakes on May 21st, and of course that's where Jenny Lee will be joining us for the first time. So and see how that works out. So, but yeah,
Wonderful.
those are pretty full for vendors as well. Those are new locations for us, so we'll see how those work. And Minnesota is beautiful.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's been very kind to us. Very kind to us.
We've been very blessed in Minnesota. So
definitely.
Outside of what else? So doing classes and trying to get or working on, I should say, we don't say trying, working on getting our online stores going and all that good stuff. But yeah, so lots of changes for us.
Yeah, lots of delving into new territories and all of that, and a lot of things on the horizon that we have yet to speak about. But it's just wonderful to be in an ever expanding type of area where just anything is possible.
Yeah.
Definitely. Oh, we have some people in our audience. We have Shell and Melanie and Mary, Diet, Robin, Stephanie, and Diana. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today.
Did you read Mel's comment? I'm seriously tempted about skipping out of my witchcraft class and doing a road trip to La Crosse.
Yes, Melanie, do it. Come to us. Enjoy the day.
You can always make it up. I know the teacher.
Yeah, definitely.
Stephanie's from New York.
Oh, Stephanie's from New York?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Hi, Stephanie.
Hi, Stephanie.
Yeah.
Melanie laughs. Okay, perfect. So let's kind of talk about some of the weird things going on in our world here. Things like this time is really all about manifesting and being productive and getting out there and doing the things you want to do. That's kind of what I'm feeling right now.
Yeah, I agree. It is. So yes, I'm on my computer, and yes, I'm doing something here. And so I wanted to share our Superstore link. So I'm going to put that on the chat.
Let's see if you remember what the link is.
Let's see if it comes up in the chat. It's not coming up. It's in the chat on the YouTube thing, but I can't get it to come over here.
Yeah, it'll get there eventually.
On the YouTube thing.
Yeah. Well, here at the store, we do the beginners and master tarot classes, and we were fortunate to have our master tarot class student Dixie have her lab practicum. And what that involves is bringing in anybody that wants to come in for a free reading, so that she had an opportunity to practice with the public, with the intent that she's going to be like the rest of us at fairs and whatnot, providing tarot card reading services to others. And it was an amazing night. Had really great people there. We had situations where the powers that be just brought people to us at random that didn't even plan on coming and didn't even know this was happening.
Yeah.
And we had a couple of girls from Menominee, I believe it was, that go to Stout, and they were just on a whim came to Eau Claire, and they were at various places, and then on a whim they came here, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh my God, we're getting readings. It's just like, and they got to hear the things that they needed to hear that night. So it can be planned, especially when you're emitting the energy of we're here to help. And then the energies out there say, oh, these people are good at this, so let's bring these people there so they can get some help. So that's a wonderful thing on our end.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, well, even like, so when we put things in when we just allow things to happen, we put them out there, we do a lot of that stuff, and we do promotions, of course, and stuff, but, making the triangle. So, this week has been a really productive week for me, getting shows set up. Yes, the fall lineup is done. I just got to get it out to everybody. But I know that's been a question in emails probably every day for the last 3 weeks when our fall lineup is, but I got it done finally. But anyways, and I'm sitting here Monday, and I'm like, where do I go? What do I do? Letting creator, or the universe, whatever, put it into my mind where I need to go. And Kelly from The Edge popped into my head. Then Jenny Lee came in. So it's like, I mean, she messaged us, emailed us. She's very persistent on things. Anyway, so I call Kelly and I'm talking to her about, maybe getting some advertising stuff done and working on things. And of course, like we do in this world, we want to know about people. And I talked to her about Jenny and she said, "Oh my God, you're going to love Jenny. She's amazing." So I made the triangle, made the connections. And I think we need to do that. I think we need to listen about things. And, it's like, like I was telling you this morning, what happened to me on the way into work. I'll tell that story, So I'm driving in this morning and I'm talking in my head about this and that. And, we have this event coming up next year that I'm not going to talk a whole lot about yet, but I start shaking. Here we go again. Shaking so much that my hand is vibrating on the steering wheel. My energies are just out of this world. And Bashar comes into my mind. I'm like, oh my God, I got to see if I can get this guy. So first thing what I did this morning when I got here is I'm like on all his platforms, I'm reaching out to see if I can get him to come to this event that we're planning. So those are things that people really need to pay attention to. When I get those shocking moments or that energy flow or just thoughts in my mind when I'm talking about something else or something in my head, and those little ideas, have a notepad, have things that you can write things down on or act on them as quick as possible. Because, I truly believe that is the universe going, get your head out of your ass and do it.
Can you explain who Bashar is for people that might not know?
Yeah. So Daryl, I think it's Daryl. Let me look.
Yeah, I
So
think his name
Bashar is part of. Oh, I'm going to say this wrong. Let me look it up because if I say it wrong.
Daryl Anka.
Yeah, I got that part. So Daryl Anka is the one that channels him. But he is from. Oh, you're going to just not love this so much. No, I can't find my notes.
Yeah, well, Bashar, in my experience, is someone who is tapping into different types of ascensional energies and communicates with a certain type of collective. And he like transforms, almost shape shifts when he's going into the mode where he's communicating with this being. And he kind of closes his eyes and opens himself up and really starts to talk to the audience about the questions that they have. And they even did scientific research on him, putting on the electrodes on his head to do an EEG and looked at his brain function when he went into this meditative state, and really proving that when he moves into his Bashar mode, that he's actually there. And it's one of those things that, when skeptics are going, oh my God, this is just pretending playtime. They actually showed his brain shift when he was doing this channeling, just kind of like they do when they've done the same type of tests on like other mediums and whatnot. You always see this brain activity shift when it goes from one thing to the next. So he's a very interesting man, very, when he's Bashar is very sarcastic, and his responses to the audience questions and really kind of like, well, you should know this type of a thing, but I'll tell you anyway why you're stupid, and it's just a really kind of an interesting thing overall. So if you haven't watched Bashar at all, that's something definitely to look up and watch some of his clips on YouTube or on his website.
So, okay. So if you want, it's Bashar, BASHAR.org is his website. And I'm going to read this little bit here. So Bashar is channeled by Daryl Anka, is a first contact specialist and a diplomatic representative of his extraterrestrial world, a planet called, and I'm going to say this wrong, Assassini, ESSASSANI. His focus to help prepare us on Earth for future contact with extraterrestrial civilizations. As Bashar has explained, a major aspect of our preparation for contact is our own personal transformation and expansion of our consciousness to a new level of awareness. So, and there's much more, but yeah. So I'm very drawn to this gentleman, and we have been for years. It's just been like in and out, like I'll get focused and then it goes away. So I'm guessing at that time when I was being focused, that just was preparation, because I haven't been there with him probably for 6 months or better. And in the last few days, it's been popular. And Danny, you said today that you've actually listened to him recently as well.
Yeah, I listened to him this morning. So when you were talking about it today, I'm like, oh, wow, I just listened to him this morning. But like with all of us, with the smaller radio shows trying to bring in some people, I too kind of reached out to one of my favorites. Her name is Regina on Gaia. She does a lot of great in-depth interviews with various people across the platform, and that's one of my wish list people to bring on the show.
Yeah, and George Norrie.
Yes,
is another one I would love to get on our show, and I got to reach out to him yet. He's on my notes. So
we have a couple other people here. We have Jackie and Allison, and oh, you got some love, Patty, from Stephanie.
I did. Thank you, Stephanie.
that's wonderful. Definitely. So just kind of for the audience interaction kind of a thing, if you can think of someone you'd like to see on our show, just let us know and we'll try to get them.
Yeah,
we're always open to getting new talent and people that other people want to hear from on our show. So we're more than happy to do that for you.
Yeah, Diana says she's drawn to him as well. Very interesting. Yeah. So.
And another thing that we're doing here is we're kind of creating an education arm for Solon Synergy, as you've kind of seen others do that type of a thing on YouTube, where they have videos about, and one that pops up in my mind all the time is Teal Swan. But we are having Patty record a fair amount of instructional type of conversational videos related to metaphysical concepts. And we will be broadcasting those when we're done kind of scrubbing them and making them look pretty. Mm-hmm. So Patty will be doing a fair amount of those as part of our show, or our business rather. Mm-hmm. And then another thing that we're doing is that, and this is a plan for May 17th, we're going to have a session where people come in with the things that they want to accomplish in their life. And Patty will have some spiritually guided art that has a meaning behind each one of them. Mm-hmm. And she will be handing out the spirit guide, which is going to be representative in the piece of art, to each of the individuals in the session that mm-hmm. matches what they want to do in their life. So in essence, we are assigning them a spirit guide to help them with the things that they want to do. Mm-hmm. So that should be a very interesting session on the 17th. I'll be putting out more specifics onto Facebook as well for that. And we're looking at sessions like that or in that kind of area going forward for some of our offerings here at the store. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Actually, it's all about wellness and healing. So whether you're in the group session that has a spiritual guide for you, of which they're all waiting very patiently for that day, it's important for them to realize that the connection is worth it. So if you struggle at all, or you have something that you just can't understand, that's why they're here. Mm-hmm. And they're going to sit with their own people. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be nice.
Yeah. And there's nothing better than to kind of come into a session where you know what you want, and to have someone in this arena give them advice or give them some reassurance that they have the help that they need. And then what I think is really important is having that spirit painting as a reminder that they can put up on their wall or next to something, so that when they're trying to get the things done that they come in with, they can look at that and go, I have support.
Yep. It's all right there.
Yeah. So we're doing stuff like that at the store too. So if you're in the area and you see us advertising that on Facebook, please come and join us, because it'll be a really great experience. And one of the things that I'm very proud of Terry of is that with his galleries that he's doing and the channeling and having great experience with doing mediumship and whatnot, it's a really great expansion for him. And I'm sure it was successful in Brainerd, and I'm sure it'll be successful in upcoming fairs as well.
Yeah. I like being in the background, you know that. But when Spirit says to step up, I have to step up. So, but we have some amazing people that are joining us in our journey. And, it's like, I want to highlight everybody. And, that's why sometimes, like, I'll do a Friday night event, the show on Saturday, a Saturday night event, the show on Sunday, so I can get people highlighted and get people out there. And it really does depend on where we're at and what we're doing. But
So we have actually 2 galleries going on in La Crosse.
No.
Don't we?
No.
Oh.
We have a channeling.
Channeling, yes.
With channeling, and Christina's doing the channeling of, it is the Palladian High Council she'll be channeling. And then the gallery itself is at 1:30. So Christina's at 11:30 and the gallery's at 1:30. So $25 a ticket per person is what we're doing. But not a lot of money, just some cool stuff. But yeah.
Definitely. So yeah, we have a wide range of interesting stuff to look at, or to participate in. Look at too, yes. Participate in as we kind of move along, and our calendar keeps filling with really great, interesting events.
Yeah. I have to ask, Jackie, where are you from? Are you local to us, or are you out and about?
Oh, Melanie, you can purchase ahead of time or at the door.
Oh, actually, I don't have none of that stuff online, so it's at the door only.
Oh, you don't have it online?
I didn't get that one created. So.
Oh, Jesus. All right.
I
fine.
know.
It's purchase at the door then, Melanie. Jackie's in Pennsylvania.
Oh, so we would do a Zoom class for Jackie.
Yes, we would have to do that. So and we are doing more Zoom things too. Actually, my basic and master tarot classes are Zoom optional as well. And we had a great trial run with that with the beginners class, and it worked out quite well.
Yeah.
So it's something that we'll be able to do, and something we will probably embrace for the other classes that we have as well, because we understand that we have people who follow us that are not in the area that we can definitely provide services to as well.
Exactly. Yeah, I've had people ask me, and I just had somebody email me yesterday if I would come to Rochester and teach Reiki. And
what an honor.
Yeah, blessed. Wow. Yeah. And then Alexandria, they must have met us in Brainerd when we did the show up there. And I've had people say, we want you as a teacher out here too. I'm like, that's a long ways to go for a class.
Yeah.
So, and I really don't mind. I have not done a Reiki class online yet, but I'm drawn. I like personal. I like being able to be right in your energy and being able to just feel it. I'm not sure that, and maybe it's a trust thing for me to see how far I can get in your energy, distant classes and stuff. So I'm not sure how that would work out yet. But
Yeah, and you were even on air in Rochester. I mean,
Yeah.
Terry went on the evening news at a local station there in Rochester and did Reiki on someone on air. How many times do you see that? You know,
Right.
So Terry's been breaking through a lot of different things here, and he's just so humble. I keep telling him, you know, just feel how well you're doing and all the great stuff that's going on, and he's just like, oh, I just keep going, just like celebrate.
And that's another thing, you know, where when that offer was sent to me, I'm like, all right, I check in. Do I do this? Have that conversation? And it was yes, 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 yes. I'm like, oh yeah, so I'm going to be the one on air that everybody's going to make fun of. But actually was the opposite. We had people
totally
show up
opposite,
and it was a beautiful thing. And it was what do they call those people? He was the lead of one
newscaster.
of the
The anchor.
Yep, he was the anchor
anchor.
of one of the shows on the Rochester TV show. So yeah, I don't know if that's on our website yet or not, but
it's on the news section of our website. So.
Okay, so if anybody wants to see that,
people came to the Rochester show the next day and said that they had seen him on the news and all of that. So it was a really great affirmation. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yep.
And we're going to be
before I forget, Todd got the link for our Superstore on the chat if anybody's curious.
Yep. It's in there. Let's see what else. And we're going to be kind of delving into North Dakota.
Yeah. I'm working on Fargo. And, one of the reasons I'm working on Fargo is because our dear friend Jody lives over that way. And she says, you'll never do a show over by me. I'm like, maybe we will. So I am working on Fargo and see what happens there. But yeah, I'm thinking that will be a 2-day show because it's a long ways for us to travel, and we'll do multiple events throughout the weekend and stuff. So
apparently Courtney wants to hear from you.
I see that. Thank you, Courtney.
Courtney will have her time in a couple minutes.
Yeah, in 4 more minutes, you'll have Danny and Patty for yourself for a half hour. So
so watch for us out on the circuit and look at our calendar of events and all of that kind of stuff. So we're here to kind of give what the customers want. So if there's ever anything you're interested in, just kind of let us know. If you want a different type of class or whatnot, we're happy to provide that.
Yeah, we have a couple minutes here yet before we take break, but the biggest thing is when you see those connections, make that connection, connect those dots, make that triangle, whatever the case may be. Don't step back from it, even if you're scared. I've been shaking in my boots in a lot of situations, and I get into those situations and I go to Creator or to Source and I say, if this is what you want me to do, you got to chill me out because it has to look good. And they do. Mm-hmm. So they take care of me.
Yes, they do. As long as you maintain that positive kind of optimistic thing and you sit in the place of having something instead of wanting it, it makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Was there anything else we wanted to touch base on? Let me look at the board. June 10th, we're in Duluth. I do want to touch base on one thing. Making that connection. So let me find the date. It is in June, I believe. No.
Can you tell?
July 22nd. So we're going to be doing, so we do our own shows. We promote our own events and stuff, but we are actually going to be vending at a couple venues. Besides the Michigan Paracon, we're going to be there. If anybody else can be there, you can see us there. But we are going to do Art on the Edge. And that is just something I don't like outside shows.
You should come for that.
do not like outside shows. It's the whole setting everything up, setting the tents up, all those things that we have to do. But I am really drawn to this one. It is in Linden Hills, Minnesota. If anybody wants to look it up, it is Art on the Edge on, and yes, it is part of the Edge Magazine's event. So, but that was a really cool one. And then where are we going to be? Oh, June. We're in Duluth. There is a thing up in the cities called the Enchanted Expo. Enchanted Boutique is hosting that one. That's a really good one with Echo Bodine. So if anybody's available, go see that one. But here's one that I know me and Sherry talked about this when they were joining us, but here around our area, it's just a few miles from us. It is called Newborn Renaissance. And so they're checking out new stuff to do. So we're doing galleries. Me and Sherry are going to do a couple galleries at this Newborn Renaissance. And I think this is just going to be amazing. So if you're in the area, it runs every weekend in June, but I'm going to be out there the last 2 weekends because we're booked the first 2 weekends. So.
All right.
That's what I have.
Sounds good. Well, we're at the bottom of the hour. Let's take a little break here, and we'll be back with Patty and her musings.
Yay.
Bye.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Soul and Synergy Radio here on WLTK-DB Talk Radio. And we have here Patty with us today, as per usual, to provide insight and inspiration and answer any of your questions that might be out there. So if you have anything, please feel free to write it into the comments section. And I see that Terry has escaped the show, so he's probably out and about doing something else. But anyway, would you have any thoughts to share for today?
Well, it's really interesting how I believe these shows grow with people watching and participating in and listening to what you're saying. It means, and it kind of dives right into what we've been doing about educating yourself. So you reach out just a little bit, and then you get to be a part of something that's really exciting, and it feels right, and it just kind of has that pull. So a lot of things during my readings, I ask the person that I'm with, do you feel a pull when you are asking that question or wanting some direction on that? And they can feel it, just kind of like just grabs you. So I want the listeners to view this as a really positive step to hearing things on the show and participating in questions within their own mind's eye so that they can understand how to listen. I mean, how to listen. What do you see when you listen? I mean, that almost doesn't make sense, but it's true. What do you see when you listen? And what kind of depths of understanding do you receive? And it's like, it's so huge. So it's not like one style fits all. It's really, truly for you, tailor-made for you. And I love the questions that people have about, what do you see for me and whatnot? And it always includes a spiritual being that is with you. So like if someone asks a question about, well, what is that spiritual being saying? First, I would say, so do you feel that with you? Do you understand that it's there? Or are you wondering if it's even there?
Right.
So they're made for our wellness. Spiritual beings match us, and they come for our happiness. They provide us with questions, a train of thought that you had never been in before, or you might have questions with a little bit of anxiety attached.
Mhm.
So all these things, spirit beings are giving us and providing us additional, I always call it breath,
Mhm.
because we're alive and so are they, but in a different place.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
So when we talk about beings and whatnot and symbols,
Mm-hmm.
can you talk a little bit more about what symbols mean to you?
Yeah, right. It's like there's a lot of already tailor-made symbols for every living human being on Earth. There's a lot of reasons for that. But if you took a universal approach and said, well, what is out there? What should I ask for? The minute you do that, you're giving everything possible through the universal connections, so that when in life you need that symbol as a tool for guidance, it's there.
Mhm.
So it's not only spirit beings that are with us, but it's the tools that they bring for us.
Mhm.
So I write symbols and signs all the time on paper. I'm talking. It just is a fluid thing. But it's as simple as like a dot, dot, and maybe a parenthesis that's a little lower than that. Just simple things, but that symbol for me is presence. They're with. So when I was talking with Denny a minute ago, one of the guides had said, I'm standing in between you two, and I want to know if anybody out there senses that he's here.
Mhm.
So I said it out loud.
Yep.
We'll see. We'll see if anybody kind of comes through to say, oh, I
Yeah.
feel that, or,
Yeah.
oh, I feel that pull, or,
Mhm.
wow, I see that.
Mhm.
So a lot of times they don't come in form. They don't come in like human form.
Mhm.
But sometimes they do. Sometimes they just come as a tall energy that is see-through or darker, doesn't matter.
Mhm.
Sometimes it walks with you, it travels with you.
Mhm.
And until you're ready to realize it, you're ready for the next phase.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I like to see beings or whatnot look like some of my favorite actors.
Ooh, look at that one.
Oh, here we go from Jackie. From a young age, I've known I have many spiritual gifts. However, I grew up being told how careful you have to be and growing a fear to let me shine. I've turned them off for many years and think I'm ready to turn back on the light, but I'm afraid of being smacked by it all at once that I think I'm unconsciously
Yeah.
turning the light back off on myself. How do I reconnect? Who is the spirit guide I should be leaning on?
That is a very good question, Jackie. Thank you for that. So your spiritual being is very well connected between spiritual guidance and angelic presence. So that's kind of a strong union of the two, but you just kind of answered why. So you've always had those gifts. You don't want it too much when you go back into that awareness. And so they know that already, that, you've been thinking about it, you've been feeling that, and they read us way better than we do. So I would say months and months ago, they began forming a structure to which you would live through. So it's really kind of unique and very important to understand that that is a usual but yet unusual approach, because you already have the gifts of, they include that, and then they push you further with the new levels and layers that they want you to understand. So I would not feel at all afraid or even kind of tentative about moving with your gift, because you have the guidance now that is just way beautiful and powerful, that it will not let you stray off that path. And until you're much better at it than you are maybe 2 years ago, you grow, and then maybe you can start to understand why. And maybe then you can understand what else is out there. So, it's very beautiful, the structure that's with you. And it's, you can't deny it.
Mhm.
You cannot deny it. So I would say, do it. Do it. And then if you have any questions, there's always people around that you can ask. I always tell people that when I read them that, here's my number. If you have a question or a block that you're not understanding, text me, ask me, email me, because it just satisfies quicker. I'm not dissing any kind of guidance or angelic beings, but sometimes it is a snail pace. So humans are not always naturally patient.
That's me.
Yeah. So I'm good for you, Jackie. And we would all put ourselves out there. So if you had a question or a concern, but you have beautiful light with you right now. Beautiful. Do it.
Wonderful. That's really, really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
You know how we were talking about, or Terry was talking about triangles, and in a conversation we had, I think it was yesterday or the day before, you were talking about triangles. What's the significance, do you think?
3 points of light.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a natural gift of knowledge. When you tie things up that looks like a 3 point of light triangle, it lives, it breathes with us. So when you're in a position to want that to light up with people that you know, it's the same thing as during a reading when I say that there are 2 guides and an angelic being with you, and that represents 3 points of light. So we look to a higher self with human people as well as spirit. And whenever I do a reading and it's someone who has a lot of anxieties that's starting to let loose, I always talk about the 3 points of light, where if you take a glass dish, like a crystal dish or a ceramic potter, like an earthen thing, put herbs in that, like whatever, a combination of sage, lavender on top, thyme, rosemary, and even oregano, for goodness sakes. All those things, if you put them in a 3 points of light pattern in your house, like one in the kitchen, another dish in the living room, and another dish in your bedroom. And if you have a little tiny stone to put on top of that, like a rose quartz or something, 3 points of light is a stamp for I want more, but I want to be happy and safe while I do it. So that is the Patty Q promise that your house will be well and you can move forward with who you are.
Right. And if anybody wants to contact Patty, it's rather simple. It's patty@pattyq.com.
Exactly.
So, it's a really a simple way to contact her for individual readings and whatnot as well. But as you were speaking, I was feeling the pull for a message for Melanie. I know she hasn't asked for one, but I get this pull that she might need something from you.
When you sit with someone for an extended period of time, you start reading each other. So I was going to say, are you going to answer that for her, or am I going to answer that for her? Because you can answer that for her. But sometimes we get really busy in our lives where we don't know exactly where to begin. Because if you pull away the things that maybe aren't necessary, you really see that you have a soulful time. And Melanie is starting to realize that she has to have more soulful time, And in saying that, it's because of being well connected to the things that she believes in is beautiful. But how do you receive more and bigger, better guidance? How do you become part of that? I want to know that I'm being connected in a wellness kind of pull. So Melanie is going to be approached by a spiritual guide who is part of my world, who wants to share with Melanie things that she can stop doing because it doesn't matter, or things that she should do or continue to do for your own psychic wellness. And Melanie is a very cool chick where she's not afraid of anything, but yet you are nicely cautious. So, and that's good. You have to be nicely cautious.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it for
Mhm.
sure.
Yeah.
Definitely. And one of the things that I continue to learn, and that is something in my toolbox, is that I've learned that if you sit in an energy for too long, the energy around you will kind of resonate with that and bring those types of things to you.
Mhm.
So if you're in a place of sadness or lack or any of those types of things,
Yeah.
and you just kind of sit there for a period of time every day, that's the kind of stuff that's going to be attracted to you. So if anything, what my experiences have taught me is that you sit in a place of happiness, and even when things don't feel that happy, you still kind of sit in that place of happiness,
Mhm.
and those things come to you.
Mhm.
You know, your soul calls out for things, and when it's hurting, it's calling out for, trying to get someone back, or finding the source of the hurt and hurting it,
Mhm.
that kind of a thing. And when you just kind of sit in a place of, okay, that happened, now let's move on with the day.
Exactly.
That's the best way to be.
Right. And when you realize you have to move on from the day, you are receiving information through spirit, to not sit with it, because it can damage your spirit, your excitement to move forward or to be a part of something else. Or don't let it mark you. Don't let it cave you in. Like, if it is grief, how long do you sit with grief? You have to acknowledge it. You have to be a part of it, sure. But you also have to live the rest of your life in a way that makes you happy. And angelic beings and spirit guides, spirit dwellers are very mindful of what we're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
So if you release it naturally, that is a quicker way to heal.
Mm-hmm.
With doing everything you need to heal. You're not cutting any corners. You're not making it hard on yourself, because spiritual beings are the ones that can speak through your mind's eye and help you heal.
Right.
I mean, you cannot drag it with. It's just, it gets so heavy.
Mm-hmm.
So they love that people are a part of these kind of conversations. Spirit really loves the community of people coming together and listening and speaking about situations, because everything that everybody is hearing today during the show gets a piece of that.
Right.
And it just sinks down deep, and it makes sense when you need it to.
And when people watch these types of shows, you're getting symbols probably without even knowing it.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So the bigger you are, the better you are in terms of filling up a room. When you walk into a room and you're very spiritual, you basically help everyone else in the room to the lower dwellers of spirit they have to leave. So it's like this hierarchy for sure. But when you have the brightest and biggest that you are, everyone wants to be with you.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
And
there's even some points where, and I'm sure all of you have experienced this at some point or another, when you visit a friend or visit someone that you really like, just being in their presence makes you happy.
Yep.
Just being with them gives you solace. Just hanging around them really makes you feel really good about yourself.
Yep.
That's because that person, whether they know it or not, is sitting in a good place, and they're giving off that energy of calm and peace, and or even some people that you hang out with because you know you're going to have a lot of mischievous fun. You're sitting in that energy, and it just makes you feel so good about yourself. So hanging around with people that make you feel good, in turn, changes your energy into the same thing. So watching who you hang out with is important, because your energy will start to match theirs. And you will find yourself in a place maybe you don't want to be.
Well, and also when you are really good at being who you are, you're tuned into your awareness, like everything matters. So when you are in a group setting, you may not like to be with certain people that you used to be with, because it just doesn't feel right. And you have to have that, thanks, but I got to go, without feeling one bit of guilt or whatever, because you don't want to be in that energy. It happens a lot. And now when you realize it, and it happens from this point forward, you're like, I wasn't supposed to be there.
Right.
If I would have stayed, I would have drank that Kool-Aid or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And you were politely asked to leave
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
by your spiritual dwellers.
Right. Because if you're feeling a little uneasy and
Mhm.
there's some sort of conflict going on or whatever, and all the energy is flying, it's just like, no, exit stage right.
Right, right,
You
right,
know?
right. And Melanie has a good point. She says, that is how I feel about the store. It's such a good energy store or space. And it's true. So when you're around people that are kind of in your wheelhouse or whatever, or you want to listen to when they talk, this building is very nice. It's very receptive to bringing spirit guide, of whom no one has said if they can feel or see.
Yeah. If anything's behind us or between us,
Mhm.
just in it.
So then
Tapping his foot.
then he says, so what he wants to do is to go to everyone who's saying something online and be a part of their existence so that they can feel what it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
So let us know if you feel him. He's just going to come and all he's going to do is nod.
Yeah. Right.
There's a lot of messages in a nod.
Yes, there is. A
Just
lot
a
of
nod.
things to say when you take
Mhm.
a nod.
Mhm.
And Alicia says she likes talking about triangles, obsessed since childhood, and doodles
Yep.
and all that
Mhm.
fun stuff. And she says I have some different types of medical conditions. And
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
PTSD is something that I wrestle with too for various reasons.
Right.
So I completely understand where you're coming from there.
Mhm. Mhm.
But one of the things that you should think about is, what did you doodle as a child and didn't even know about it? You know, what were those drawings that you made that were various shapes
Mhm.
and symbol-like or anything like that, and you never really knew what it really meant. You just knew you had to draw them.
Mhm.
Those are things that were coming through because you were open.
Mhm.
And when you become an adult, or rather around the age of 9 or 10, when your ego finally solidifies and all the mystical stuff kind of fades away, for most people, you kind of forget about it. But just kind of think back and think about the things you used to draw when you're 4 or 5 years old,
Mhm.
or things you might even still have in your closet tucked
Mhm.
away somewhere. Take a look at it and think, what was I grabbing onto there?
And also think about it in addition to what you just said, that you are actually drawing symbols and signs for your future.
Right.
So when you were doing triangles or connecting a line or whatever it was in the doodle, you were looking ahead through your soulful awareness to bring
Mhm.
something to you. So I see fluidly through a triangle. That's very good shape. 3 points of light always looks to me like it's very angelic. It's very
Right.
pure. So it's a slice of your future sometimes. If you feel something and you don't know how that fits in your life, it will fit. It's a slice of your future.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a door wide open kind of feeling,
Right.
where you aren't behind a wall that prevents you, or you're too frightened to, or you're thinking something that you shouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
Guides will redirect you
Right.
and push you to your answer.
Mm-hmm. For
Mhm,
sure.
for sure.
And Jackie says that she sees a knight.
That's very good.
Yeah.
A knight.
Mhm.
Yeah. It is a spiritual guide of armor.
Mm-hmm.
So knight's very good. I use this as healing people who have fear of the dark or something.
Right.
They need something to powerhouse them to, okay, as long as I'm here, I'm fine.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you a question that just popped in my head that they said you can answer. Can spirit be in more place than once? Can they bilocate?
Absolutely. Not like angelic beings, however, I will say. They do multitask, spirit guides. They know who their people are. So this is what they do. They naturally, through natural order, they're calling out for more spirit guide members to come and help this person. And during that, where there's extra help,
Mm-hmm.
that spiritual guide can pop out for a minute or two and do something. So there really is a kind of a tag team thing going on sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But a spirit guide can be big, where it does assert itself for multiple people.
Okay, awesome. Mary asked a question. Can you see any of her spirit guides?
I do, Mary. And so some people who are wanting to be or are very interested in their growth and visualize it, Mary has like beings that are see-through. So they're not really a form and they're not a ghost, but see-through energy, or I should say see-through beings, carry a very large amount of information because there's no stopping it. It just goes ongoing. So where you might not believe it's a spirit guide, it's a spirit guide, because spirit guides bring us that knowledge and information that we're looking for, because we are aware. And Mary, you're aware in a way that you can accept more. So they've graduated you to pull through a being that is large and kind of white, but not, and see-through.
Awesome. So Mary might have a spirit guide of turkeys around her, but she'll
Right?
be the one that gets that joke. Courtney is saying, is there a spirit guide specific to a family?
Yeah, yes. And you could use that as an example of, so if a family who is a lot of times together, one spirit guide can handle the whole family for sure. And it is kind of a shared thing. So, and that does make sense.
So then could a spirit guide be generational that just keeps following you as you progress?
Absolutely. It will adhere to itself to one human being. It will include itself in other human beings, but it always follows you. However, if you realize that that spirit guide cannot answer your questions or concerns in a way that it doesn't make sense, they do call for backup. And either they attend with you with the answer, or they tag team and bring other people in. So it's kind of a moving target a lot of times.
Okay.
Yep.
It's just very interesting how all these things work. And while we have 4 minutes left before the top of the hour and our next guest arrives, can you talk about the topics of the things we recorded, just to kind of put a tickler out there for everyone?
So and it was a lot of fun.
And there's more to come.
Yes, there's more to come. So there is a 4-series piece done for what's called water method healing. So if you are aware more than the average, and you want to pursue something other than to move forward with it, there's like a level 1, 2, 3, 4 that talks about where you have to be or should be, or there's information that you should hear so that you prepare yourself on that journey. And then the 1 and 2 levels are kind of together, where it's very purposeful and meaningful for those that are just alerting themselves to the water method of healing. And then 3 and 4 is much deeper into methods to your everyday, or if you're someone who provides healing readings. And that was a lot of fun to do. And then we did, I was talking about death.
Yes. Da-da-da-dum.
And it's a really good one to listen to when it's out there, because death is a celebration and it's a part of the cycle we're in. And there's different levels to which people reach that end date that's talked about. And it's really interesting. I received that information through my guides. And if someone were to say, Patty, where do you get your information? I'm like, it's like this stream of information I'm always listening to.
Same here. That's where my tarot readings come from, is from that kind of stream of information. But unfortunately, I would like to believe that I don't have an expiration date. I have a Best Buy date.
Best Buy. I love that. That's good. I need to use that.
I have a Best Buy date, not an expiration date. So that is kind of my thing. But we have Courtney saying she had a flash of a Roman or Greek looking person. Oh. This
is really interesting, Courtney, in that Roman or Greek looking person anyone can be with, but there's a symbol in that being for your awareness. Whether it's you learned best by this method in a previous life lived. So they approach you again with, you're going to like what I have to give you. Here you are. And then they can leave.
Mhm.
So never question. Well, you can question why they're there, but the information is brought with a vision that you've already experienced somewhere in your life or past lives.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mhm.
amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I never really think of Roman or Greek, or I think a lot of times what the energy presents itself as is a message in and of itself. So if it feels like Native American, or it
Mhm.
feels like
Mhm.
I don't know, a Puritan,
Right. Well,
whatever it is, it's a representative of something else
Mhm.
that you need to consider.
right.
And a lot of times you can't take things literally,
No, you really can't.
because
It's a waste of time.
it's been my experience that when energies come through, it's like a riddle. And unfortunately, my machine, my little hamster wheel, goes until the riddle's solved, and it's just exhausting. It's just awful. So,
And it really does show me that all the time. And you just want to say, stop.
yeah. Stop taking things so literally.
Stop.
Definitely.
Mhm.
All right. Well, we are at the top of the hour. Our guest should be arriving soon. Thank you, Patty. And Patty's going to
Yes.
stick around
Yep.
for our guest, our
Yay.
remote viewing guest. So we'll be back in a couple minutes, and we'll have Jenny Lee. See you in a couple. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to WLTK-DB Talk Radio, to Soul and Synergy Radio. I believe that Terry is in the backstage again, if he can come
Hey!
out. Yes.
I think Jenny's having trouble getting on, so I'm trying to bring her.
Oh, okay.
Been there.
Yeah. A lot of our guests have kind of been there.
It's really a kind of a panic feeling too,
Yeah.
because that person knows that you guys are waiting
Right.
and you can't get
It's like,
there.
I can't get in there. So I guess we'll just kind of riff and punt until she gets here.
Riff and punt.
Yeah, definitely.
Mhm.
She's in. She's in. Okay. So we have Jenny Lee here with us, the international remote viewer and seer, and it's going to be a great interview. So can we welcome her onto the show?
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hi.
How you
Welcome
doing?
to the show.
How are you
Oh,
guys
I
doing?
like it. You're in your office. I like it when people do that.
Yeah, I am. My office kind of just has files everywhere. People are like, this doesn't look like a metaphysical place.
I don't see any quartz or any amethysts around or nothing.
No, it's in a different room. I just have all my files and everything for remote viewing. So it's kind of hard to have those two in the same office.
So
yeah.
is that like your brain center, so to speak?
Yes, that is the brain center.
Yes. Yeah. That's where I am too. This is where I do all the other work. Yep.
Yeah, it is. It's where you can get all that done, keep files organized and everything. But it's still, there's never enough files for, the stuff I have to do. So
Yeah.
Right.
So, why don't you give our audience a little overview of who you are, what you do, and all that fun stuff, how you came to recognize your gifts and any other information.
Well, the thing is I guess I was very odd because I had memory before I was even in my mother's stomach. And Spirit said to me, don't listen to the humans, just follow our lead. So I had a memory before I was born of being somewhere else and being upset that I was here, because there was an energy around it that was just so perfect. And so I did that. And so I didn't. I ran off a lot. I wanted to, when I was 5 or 6, I would just run because I was exploring, and my mom always said that you have an agenda that has nothing to do with us here. So, and that's when I just started speaking what I saw. I'd bury dolls in the ground in a way of feeling someone dying and wanted to figure it out on my own. That's the thing about it. You're just trying to figure it out. So my path started with just situation after situation Spirit put in my path, period. I didn't go to a class. I didn't do anything like that. I just kept experiencing things. And then when I was 5, they decided to do a type of treatment on me. And I had all these wires over my head because I didn't know why I was functioning different, what I was doing. And in that room, in that process, my mom took me in there. And then she's like, I regret doing that because I was laying there supposed to go into sleep. And all I did was see spiritual beings saying, don't go to sleep. They're not going to get the information. Don't go to sleep. So it was just kind of those things that I just kept following their lead to a consistent pattern. I kind of feel like you go through a war camp with Spirit in your adolescence and you keep going and going and going and going. It's our everyday life is not easy. Going to public places. I mean, I don't say anything, but it's just before you're in a room, you're feeling people before you're even there. So it's a little different how I deal with things. I live out in the country on a farm. I like it. I like the nature, I like animals and stuff like that. But the whole process for me was I resisted it forever. But when they start to just keep repeating the message over and over and over and over, it'll just drive you crazy until you do it. And that's pretty much. And then my first case with remote viewing, I was just rambling on with information. I was just like, I'm seeing this. And then it was actually one of my husband's best friend's girlfriend. And I described the scene and everything. And then they found her in those conditions. And it was the ex-husband that killed him. So then it just never stopped.
Yeah.
It just continued. It's funny how when you start out, you think things are hard. And at the end of where I'm at now, I think I still am blown away of going, holy cow. Just recently, I did something that I went up to Creator and said, okay, I need to know this information. They're like, don't worry about that. We're going to show you something else on your planet that you don't know about. And they showed me this Ruby Lake. And I'm like, what? And so I was like, so you want me to tell them there's a Ruby Lake in Antarctica? Sure. So then I did the drawing, and 2 months later, a gal on Facebook, and I told everybody on YouTube, just go look and see if you can find it. And they found it. There's just this ruby everything. Lake, mound, it's everywhere. And I couldn't believe it. It's like, wow. And that's the kind of stuff I do with remote viewing and artifacts and lost items and all kinds of stuff like that.
Okay.
So, but I do documentation when I get it, and then I want to verify it for that. And so I just signed up with a Patreon today because I thought that was the best place to start having all the documentation in one place, because everybody can just read it, look at it, verify it and go process it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Awesome. So for our audience that don't know what remote viewing is, could you kind of explain what it is and the process you go through to do it?
So the thing is, when I'm doing remote viewing, I'm not going up. It's like my view is straight ahead. But there's 3 views that I look at remote viewing. Say remote viewing is a target that you're after, either an item, missing persons, artifacts, missing items. So you're in your head going, that's the item I want. Okay. Then I look at it in 3 levels. There's 3 levels that I am able to review and decide how I want to pick up all the information. So if I want to do a small view of things, looking at it very skeptical and very clear, I go through a lower level, and then there's a mid level, and then there's a giant level, how I perceive the information. And so I wasn't taught by anybody. I just kept downloading, giving the information. So your perception and remote viewing is unlimited. That's the thing about it. You can go anywhere with remote viewing. So then I would just get the target. I would stay in right brain, stay out of left brain, and perceive it, and then start giving details and information around that environment. And that's how it just started consistently happening. I found my own pattern, how it works for me. And I can't do what I do unless I'm doing it right. Because remote viewing, you really say, you're in a corner, this is it. Because whether it's you're finding a body, that everybody has to utilize the time and put their time into to find that target.
Mm-hmm.
So you're ridiculed a little different.
Okay. So in TV shows, when they kind of do, and I'm talking about Hollywood stuff, when they kind of talk about remote viewing, the person all of a sudden is actually standing there in the environment and kind of seeing what things are going on. Is this stuff happening in your third eye, or is this stuff happening visually for you?
So I never go to the same, ever. Because I feel if you take in that environment, you're going to tarnish what remote viewing is presenting to you. So your left brain is trying to suggest things, and I don't want that. I want to stay in that raw insight. So I do not go to those areas until after everything is done to verify how close I was with remote viewing. Mm-hmm. And so I think it tarnishes it going there, because your mind is in a physical aspect suggesting, and then you have the remote viewing. And I don't like those conflicts, so it's better if you doing it remotely, and then after you're done 4 or 5 pages of remote viewing, you match up those environments to the target. Because they're not hiring me to go there and look at it. They're hiring me to see it from a different distance, period. So I think it tarnishes it when you go there physically.
Okay. All right. Interesting.
So,
go ahead.
So I just have I've done research and I've watched some stuff on Gaia and things like that. And so a lot of people, I remember when they talked about how the military does remote viewing. Yeah. They do longitude and latitude, and you need to tune into that and talk to me about what's all in that area. Because I know they're using it for targeting and all those good things. Did you need that type of thing, or are you able just to go?
I'm ready. So I don't need, when I first started remote viewing, I said, what about numbers? They're like, numbers? Yeah, numbers of the target. They're like, no. Just say the name of the target, and because it goes in so fast, they're like, you're wasting time. Just say the target, boom. They go into the scene. So, and the thing is, if you guys look at the remote viewing drawings of that, it's very vague. So let's just give you an example. A water tower. They'll show you a water tower. I'm like, I want the water tower. I want the rust on the water tower. I want the screws on the water tower. I want the detail. I'm about the detail. I'm not about just the water tower. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So when I saw that, I'm like, it's too vague. And I worked on many cases where I draw the suspect before it's even turned over to the police. And I've had 2 or 3 cases prosecuted. And one conviction reversed because it wasn't suicide. They reversed it. So the thing is somehow they showed me the image and I started drawing the suspects. So, and how they died and everything. So they just show me naturally and how it just folds out. There's, it's never the same. Like even mediumship's never the same. It's just a totally different, like the DNA,
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, the DNA of things. So, so a case I did here in Fargo area, and then they found, I kept hearing, the first thing I heard was a bridge, the vibration of the bridge, how trucks go over the bridge and how the water is. And they're saying, seeing a bird above and how the creek is close and what she's wrapped in. And I was just like, and after I gave the location to the cops and the family, they ran out there and they found the body. I don't go out there until everything's over to verify everything that I got that matches up. But my scene of what I saw was on the front paper of that exact scene of that bridge and that vibration and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard because people go, how can you get this? I go, I can't explain this to you in a way. I'm just trust it so fast that I grasp it and stay on it instead of put doubt in the process.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do the doubt process. And then I let the documentation follow wherever it needs to lay. Because we're not supposed to hold that information. We're supposed to put it somewhere because we're filters of information, and then you just lay it down.
Mm-hmm.
So, and so I just have unusual cases that people are looking for stuff or they can't find it, And
Right.
So
Yeah.
assuming there's other people that can remote view as well,
Uh-huh.
How can you tell if someone's remote viewing you?
You know what? And I believe in the permission part of that because you can feel it. And I tell people, it comes on the left side and it's the uneasy feeling of closeness. It feels too close, it feels invaded.
Mm-hmm.
That's so when I tell people you're not supposed to do it without free will, just like you're not supposed to do a healing on a person unless they know. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever I've picked that up or I've seen that and then there's consistent things that they say in the environment that you're at and the level of it and everything. So I've had people do that. Not that it's a good thing, but it feels like an invading of your energy field.
Mm-hmm.
Of what you're doing. That's
wow.
the way to say it. Because it feels like it's intrusive.
Okay.
And you don't feel alone. That's one of the biggest things.
Yeah. I know how that feels. So do you.
And I have a question for you. Do you feel like you've earned your way to this point where you can get clarity because you've earned it? You've gone through structures of your own. You talked about patterns. I mean, you have to work on these things. You just don't, wake up one morning and say it's this good. You need skin in the game.
I've gotten to a point that I do so much work that the clients are the ones that come back and tell me this prediction happened, this happened. Do you understand? Because you're just going. You just keep consistently going. And you don't have time to look back until that verification comes in a natural way. And I just wait for it to present. And that's the thing is, I believe spiritually, you just do what the creator has created for you and go through these tests. And you keep going and you keep going. And your ability of trust changes in milliseconds. That's what changes you. And when I ask for stuff or I want something in a direction, I can see it happening within hours or days.
Mhm.
I don't go into that human doubt process anymore. I hear, watch and see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, it really feels like you allow spirit to help you do what you do.
Right.
And I think if people could get that in their head for all of us, whatever we do, I mean, that's what I do here. You know, I just sit here and I'll have conversation or driving into town or whatever the case may be. And then I just allow and feel how it happens and go with what I get instead of, oh, that didn't feel good. Well, it might not
Right.
feel good, but still do it. You know?
You know, and I think it's funny because if you're a medium, a psychic or anything, there are days that you are knocked on your ass. People don't talk about that. How you're like, holy cow, that was a strong one, you know, where you're just like, whoa.
Yeah.
And you know, and they don't talk about it, but I'm like, it happens. There's stuff that just will knock you on your butt.
Yeah.
And you're just like, I can't make it out of bed today because it's just have no energy. You know,
it's like after a 2-day show, you know, when we do events, usually Monday afterwards, I'm down and out because I've held energy for 48 hours and, you know, doing what I do, connecting in all the time. And it's like, yeah, I'm done.
Right. And then I've done a gallery up to 6 hours. It was really funny over here in Fargo area, and it was a bar out in the country, and there was like 90 people in there, and you had all these big cowboys and everything, and they thought I was like the Long Island meeting going, this is gonna be funny. And they went in there and they realized this is serious. She's bringing up true stuff, and everybody's demeanor changed. And then at the end of all these cowboys were crying, and they're like, you know, and then and the people want verification who you're talking to, right? Mm-hmm. So, and there's these groups that are all like, yeah, I don't believe it. So I was like, okay, I'll see. Because I say exactly the way Spirit says it. I don't make it all flowery and dandelions and stuff. And one was, you know, they're like, if you're like have this ability, this guy that we cared about was a group of 5, and they're like, there's only 2 things that guy really talked about all the time. And the Spirit's like, it's funny how they talk to you in a conversation and then they want to relay it, and people don't realize there's an argument sometimes when you're saying, I don't want to say it that way. So there's a 3-way conversation. And he goes, say beer. I'm like, really? That's it? Yeah, it's just beer. Just say beer. And I said beer, and they're like, they're on the floor just dying, you know, just, I'm like, okay, I'm missing the boat here, but okay. And then the next one was, you know, more of a vague area of a woman. And I was like, okay, I'll say it. And then they're all like, oh my God, that's him. That's him. That's him. That's all he talked about. Those 2 things, beer and that. So, I mean, I like to, like I said, there's the DNA of the Spirit, how their personality is, what they did, how they dress, where they hung out. That's the DNA of the stuff that people want. They want the truth. And that's what I like. I mean, and that, to me, when you're working in the spiritual field, you have responsibility opening the door, but also shutting it and not leaving them hanging. And I don't like that. I like, because when you have helped with their healing, you see this fulfillment in their face and it's changed their life. And that's what we're supposed to do. Mm-hmm. You know? Yeah. In that way of, it's a responsibility. Mm-hmm. It is. I felt it.
I agree. And, you know, that's why I hesitate in some things because, you know, doing this isn't just willy-nilly stuff. You have to take responsibility for what you do. And, you know, in this world and every other world, but I think when we work with the healing aspects of people and delivering messages from Spirit and all this stuff, it's not a party. Mm-mm. It's you have to be responsible for what you bring across.
Right. And that night
Do you have an experience that really touched you that was hard to move away from? Something, I mean, are any of these, do you
Okay.
allow emotion after some of them?
Okay. Especially on remote viewing, my professional process is not about me. So I completely disconnect the emotion because I can't be a good provider for the information if I'm trying to connect to it personally. Okay? Because then my personal feeling comes into it and it tarnishes the situation.
Yeah.
Tarnishes it, And so that's the first thing I teach on remote viewing. When I teach, I said, this isn't about us. It's not about you. It's about relaying the information for whoever needs it. And so there was, say, a gallery one. This is more of the DNA thing that I'm talking about. And they had a medium in front of me that I had been teaching. And I had my students in the back. And I walked out and she's like, where are you going? I said, nope, you're got to do this on your own. I'm not carrying you. You've got to do it right. So she's described something and it didn't make sense to them. They're just looking at me like they're lost. Then I saw this mother, and then they showed me a doctor, and they showed me a young child dying. And I just said to her, you were right. They did over-medicate your child. And she fell to the floor. And the child showed me small feet with wings in the back of it. And the daughter stood up, and she took off her shirt and showed it was on her back.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So that stuff is one of the big ones. But like when I deal with stuff with the child trafficking and all that stuff, that's very severe stuff that I deal with. And that's really brings in some DNA stuff on that process on things that are, I don't know if this would be proper to talk about it, but yeah. So that's a hard area. And how things are described in an environment in layers and how you describe it and tell people where to go and what I'm seeing from this view, and they find it as I'm viewing from over on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of stuff. And then I do, there's another one where this old man died. I do a lot of wills. Wills are funny because they didn't leave a will and everybody's trying to figure out where it goes.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, Jen, I got to find all this documentation. And I was like, okay, well, he's telling me it's in an envelope, it's sticky, it's got rubber bands all around it. Just an old guy. I said, it's in the wall. She's like, what? It says it's in the wall. So the last day she gave up, and then she finally, because I saw this wooded area, and then she calls me and she goes, I found it. And it was sticky and it had rubber bands around it and had the deed and everything in it.
Nice.
So it's crazy.
That's awesome.
That's very awesome. Just like I was telling Terry, do you allow yourself to feel good about all of those wins? I know Terry likes to be humble and to go, oh yeah, well, on to the next thing. Do you let yourself feel those wins?
I'll tell you what I feel. My team behind me and me. It's never just me. It's us as a collective. So I can't do it without them. I don't say I or me. I'm like we as a team.
Yep.
Yep.
I have a book that says Walking in Humble Spirit, by the way. That's funny.
Yeah, I get it. I get it too. I say we a lot. Yeah. Somebody says, how are you doing? We're doing good. Yeah.
You can't do it alone. You can't.
No.
No.
No. And more people realize that, the better off they'll be. Yeah.
Right.
Really. All right. Well, we are at the bottom of the hour. We'll come back with Jenny Lee and Terry after the break. And Terry's going to close out the show. So thank you so much for being with us, and we'll see you after the break.
body code is a revolutionary method of energetic healing developed by Dr. Bradley Nelson, which allows us to quickly and easily identify specific imbalances that seem to underline chronic ill health, acute and chronic pain and discomfort, dysfunction, and stress. Ellie energetically connects with the subconscious of the client. Psychic medium Ellie Weisensell is a medical intuitive and energy healer and a certified body code practitioner. She identifies and clears energetic imbalances within the body and energy field. Contact Ellie at the website below, and Ellie can work remotely from a distance, by phone, online, video chat. There's no need to travel to an office. Remember, the body code is safe for humans and animals. Contact Ellie today.
All right, dear. Welcome back. So Danny and Patty are gone for the rest of the show, so it's you and me. So
Cool.
yeah.
I thought I'd go over a couple pictures of stuff that I remote that's probably not even connected to this world, and how things are triggered. So this is something some of your artists don't know about. Is Spirit showed me this 3.5 years ago. These are the keys. They call them iron plate keys, and there's they come from each environment, which would be the ocean, Antarctica, rainforest, the desert, and a hot climate. And I worked on this for 3.5 years because no one knew what they were.
Wow.
And I had to draw exactly the way, and there's symbols on them and everything too. So a long time ago, they were showing me they put these in the ground and they separated them, and it accumulated and it created an energy on Earth. That's like creates warmness, creates an opening, an area that you can get to, like a stage in the sky. And you gotta be aware that I deal with all that alien stuff and look at all that stuff all the time. And then I got some documentations back of seeing it in the sky, and it looks exactly to that format. So, and when I started this, I was asking everybody about it. I'm like, does anybody know what these are? Do you know what they are? And everyone was like, no. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, okay, I know. Now within the last 1.5 years, everybody knew. But this is something, sometimes you're responsible for something with spirit, and they really test you, put you in a situation, it's me or you're going to worry about what people think. And I was just like, okay, I'm just going to go forward with this process. And so, so I think I've gotten strong in that area of just whatever they put, I'm going to put it out and let it lay wherever it needs to lay of the information, like stuff I'm working on now is everything that we've needed is in Antarctica. What's been hidden across the wall, the ice, and what's in the ground there, and now it's being revealed. And I did drawings a year ago, and they were showing me they call these the organic ships, and this is actually our planet right here going through a transformation into 4D, and this is one of the keys how the energy comes through and everything,
Oh,
so
nice.
that kind of stuff. And then this is which I call the Ruby Lake that they were showing in Antarctica.
Oh, nice.
And I have the actual location. They can look at it on the location and find it themselves.
That's beautiful. So, seeing in other galaxies, right?
Right.
So, what about star seeds?
This is the thing. That memory was started before they were ever in the body. It was not, and that's where, for my own self, it's a fact that there's a memory from before. And you have to get to a point that your conscience will allow you to remember that. Because you're going to go into abilities And then understanding memory, that you're like, why do I know this place? Why is it familiar? It's just on that trust process, you know, especially with history, you know.
Right.
So they have a seed inside them that blossoms as you nourish it spiritually. And then they're going to be part of what Spirit's telling me now is we need to get as many people into the collective off Earth into that higher energy. Everybody's worried about what's going on here, but the next step is what we need to be focusing on. What happens after? You know,
Right.
say all the money comes, okay, great. But what are you going to give to humanity after? Where is your position going to be after? How are you going to focus on giving back to humanity? And no one's talking about that.
Yeah, I totally agree on the whole seed part of it. I'm so I have spent years and not understanding this at all, of course, until I started working in this field. And I would stand outside and I would stare up at the sky at night and into this constellation. No clue what I'm doing, but it just felt like home. It felt like a place I've been. It felt like a place I want to go again. And, you know, it's like, is it the Sirius belt or the Sirius constellation or whatever it is?
Right.
That's where I feel home. And so it's like I sat down with a lady here a few years back, and she's a starseed. She's a reader, but her business is about starseeds. And that card came up when she did my reading.
Right.
And so she said, "There's your confirmation." Like, oh, okay.
Right.
But it doesn't give me all the answers yet. So
Right.
anyways, but I get it.
So it was funny because probably 6 months ago, you know, the diamond in the sky thing's a connection with your higher self. And they said there's always a connection with each soul that's part of that contract. And you'll see it, but you'll blow it off. But the thing is, it was funny in the dream because sometimes they put assignments in front of me and I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to do that. So they're like, Jen, we're going into 4D. Do you think you're going to have the same contract as 3D? No. Everything's changing out. Everything is how you heal, what you're looking at. It's 4D is different. So then they're saying you have to start channeling these contracts, these new contracts. And I could tell you that has nothing to do with here.
Yeah.
It has to do with, so when I perceive things, first thing I do is I disconnect any reality here. I do a lot of my stuff and I teach my students blindfolded because these two eyes can bring in massive confusion.
Mm-hmm.
You want to focus on the one sight. So the thing is I do a service of doing those contracts and then how they accept it and how it forms them into the next step and seeing the results of that. Not that I wanted to do it, but I was here.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it, you know, and but as you're talking to them and you're connecting with these people, you're hearing how it connects with their own life and what they're seeing and what they're perceiving because they want to get to the next step. There's a lot of people here that we don't care about money. We don't care about that. We care about the agenda of getting things done on this planet. And it resides in you in such a deep way that's the priority across the board.
Yep. So I'm lost in comments. We're really busy on comments, but Lee asked, can you teach remote viewing or do you teach remote viewing?
I do. I teach remote viewing. It's on my website and everything. So, but my teaching, I do one-on-one. And the reason is even with mediumship, intuitive classes, because each person's at a different level of understanding of perception. And I tap in, I am just the conduit of information, and spirit on the other side is telling me this is what they need to do. They describe things, and it's behind them that I get the information. So each person that say they're in a classroom setting, they're all at different levels.
Yep.
So I prefer the one-on-one because you got to understand in an open area, a lot of people do not actually say what they really want to say. This is more of a relaxed environment that they can be very open about everything that they're going through. And it's just that one-on-one, that personal process is important.
I agree. When I teach Reiki, you know, I teach it in a class format, but when I do attunements and when I'm always walking the room, I'm tuning into each student as I go around and making sure that I can feel them opening and making sure that everything is going to be correct for when I do attunements, and the messages that are coming through, I'm working through them as they come through, and just kind of stacking them up, because I don't deliver messages during class, of course, but I will give them to them later. But you know, things like that. So I get the one-on-one part, but yeah, and everybody is totally at different levels, so we're all just getting there. Yeah,
right. So that's when I do remote viewing, I give them targets and I give them levels and I give them perception. And I think with remote viewing, it really gives them a really strength, because they're like, there's no way that you know this until you go in and perceive it and look at it and get the details and then compare it going back.
Okay. Have you ever been blocked by anyone while remote viewing?
Spirit.
Yeah.
Okay, and it was because I was doing a case. I don't know if you guys remember this case in Colorado. Probably about 10 years ago. And this little girl went missing outside of Colorado Springs. And I think this guy was going to school as a mortician. And at that time I was with Psychic Crime Fighters. And they showed me the tri-levels and how the house, how they're trimmed out. And this was a tri-level where her body was back in the freezer and all that stuff. And I got to details and I wanted to get into that. And all of a sudden they just completely just said, nope. And I'm like, what are you doing? We're at this point of getting major details. Like, nope, Jen, your daughter's the same age. You're not doing that. Mm-mm.
Oh.
They was like, nope, you're not going to see it.
So they still have your back.
Yes, they do. But there are certain things. And then when you're really into it and you're trying to get every detail you can, and then that happens, you're like,
yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. And I know when I get going into things too, it's like, why isn't that connection working?
right. Yeah, I yell. I go, what is going on?
Yeah, this is what you showed me to do, but why aren't you letting me do it?
Right.
And
exactly.
then, like with you later on, it comes in and goes, that's why. So, yeah, for sure. Oh, wow. It's already 11:45. So, but I want to touch base on other things that you do besides remote viewing.
Okay. So I do, because in these land, big farm areas and stuff like that, generations of farmers are there, and they leave stuff on the farm, and after a generation, they want to know where it's at and they can't find it. So I usually end up going to the property and explain it. So I can walk through a property with the living person and the spirit and telling me where everything is.
Oh, wow.
So it's kind of just
awesome.
a story and just walking through and describing things and what's going on. So I do that. And then I will tell you, for paranormal, I'm a little different.
Okay.
Because I'm very respectful to the spirits. So I'm more of I don't go into a building and bring a camera and all that. I'm very respectful. What I do is I sit at a table, and this is the thing that people have to understand, that spirit knows you here and it knows you there. It knows your intention and why you're doing things.
Yeah.
So I sit at a table and I just break out a paper and pad, and they come close and talk, and I give the download. And I got to tell you, a lot of the percentage for paranormal, they'll rat out the owner. You know, and I've had it many times. They're using a Ouija board. They're doing this. They're provoking. And I've caught them, and I've said, "Are you guys doing this?" And they're like, "Well, who told you?" I'm like, "They're telling me."
Yeah.
You know, they're telling me, you know, what you're doing and how you're provoking them, you know. And then And I've done it where I took a book, like a protection book, to a paranormal event, and the negative they didn't come out at all. They're like, nope, not coming out. So they'll tell me what books work and all that stuff too. And this is the thing. I just don't like people taking a building and overly just not giving the spirits any rest, and not as provoking and letting anybody in there to just provoke them. Because I think those spirits, what they tell me, we don't forget that you didn't let us have rest. We don't forget that they used this as a clown ticket. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about some of these owners that are just in these places that are just forever doing that. And it's so disturbing for them. You know, it's heart-wrenching.
Yeah.
So it's a hard thing to take sometimes.
Yeah, I can see that. So it's Jenny's site,
Right.
SIGHT, right?
No, SSIGHT.net.
Oh, that's what I'm doing wrong.
Yeah. And so, and then with artifact stuff I do for private corporations.
Yeah. Tell me more about that.
I just get people that know through societies that say, we have this target, I want you to go in and perceive it before we send people in, or what we need to do. And then I give them the environment.
Okay.
All over the world.
Really? So they're looking for artifacts in Egypt per se.
Yeah, I've done that. I've done Antarctica. I've done Atlantis. Nefertiti's is one I've done for their, everybody wants the crystal, and she's described that whereabouts. I've had Alex Collier ask me for the Emerald Tablets, and I said, why haven't they told you? It's my question. Why?
Yeah. And so when people do that, I can probably think of 100 things I'd like you to find for me. But does Spirit say, well, wait a minute, no, we're not doing that because I know what they're going to use it for.
Yes, exactly. And we're in the times right now, the stuff that's been thrown at me this year, people would never, they'd be shocked at the stuff they asked me to look for. And I will tell you, I was working with a society, and the Spirit said the Walmart cloning facility. I'm like, okay, where's this? And then they showed me between the planes, the subway, underground system, right by a river, through mountains, everything. And they showed me this facility. And then I worked with this remote viewing group, and I gave them the location, I guess. And when those societies, when you're close to something, they're like, they don't really give you confirmation. They go, that's very interesting. That's what they
Right. Yeah.
And then the others are like, oh, I was gonna get that too. I was close to that. I'm like, well, why didn't you? So there's stuff like that, and there's stuff like which I'm working on. One is the Holy Land right now, and they've showed me stuff in levels. Those buildings, those churches are all in levels. There's just the top that keeps you distracted. What's on down beneath those cities and those creatures. And they told me recently, she says, they're like, Jen, that's going to flood. It's going to flood out. We're going to flood it out. And I, and that's what I said. I did a prediction on New York getting flooded. I did the California earthquakes and how that was going to happen in layers. It's not just an earthquake. I give details of the soil, what they show me, how it's going to separate, what it's going to do, all that kind of stuff.
Wow. So
the details, that's the whole thing. Is important is in the details that because when you're doing predictions, you're taking a lot of risk. Because you're going to get a lot of slack when it come back.
Yep.
And so that's the thing about it, is just like this, whereas I was like, ugh, boy, this is going to be a big one to swallow. But then we went and did the verification, and we found it, and I was like, wow, it's there.
It's there, yeah. Do you travel then to do, I know you're going to do our event in Detroit Lakes, but do you travel other places to do bigger events?
I do. I mean, I did Paracon up here in the Shooting Casino, and that's always been a crazy event. And for me, I don't even get to go to the bathroom. That's how insane it is. And you're just exhausted.
Yeah.
So I've done events like that. I'm trying to, I don't want to deal with the craft side of things. I want to deal with, the alien process, the paranormal process, the strong ability process, kind of getting away from, people just selling stuff.
What about the, like the UFO part of it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people in the UFO community. And they've privately, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? And I give them that information of what I see, in that process. But what they have now, you guys got to understand, there's a fake Galaxy Federation that's just an entertainment field that just sucks up your money. And then there's the real one. And the real one is not up front. It's not on YouTube. It's behind the doors. It's not relaying everything to you. They're doing the work. They don't have time to do a radio show every day. They're diligently working on the process, So I think with what's happened to our world, you're seeing a lot of people treat it like a money machine,
Yeah.
But this is the way I said, they know you here and they know you there. So whatever you say holds responsibility for what you're doing. It's important.
So I've been having for 2 days now a conversation with the gentleman that you hooked me up with. And
Oh, cool.
yeah.
He's great, though. He's really
He
good.
is. And he's like, are you coming to Sedona to do something? I'm like, if Spirit takes us to Sedona, then we go to Sedona.
I'm doing an event with Kelly in Sedona.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Well, why did that come up, huh? That's interesting.
Yeah, I'm doing an event there with her. So
do you like on your website? So I had Todd, our producer, put your website in our comments so that people can find it. And you have your list of events and things you're doing, where you're going and stuff on there.
Yeah,
okay.
I have that, and I'm updating, and then I just, like, in the last 2 days, they're tired of trying to find all my documentation on YouTube, Instagram, on the website. So I'm just going to go on to Patreon and have it dated, documents, all that stuff at once.
Okay. So that's coming out later.
I mean, I'll be done with the Patreon. They can get in there now, but you'll start to see the documents. I'm going to do that late at night and then download it. I'm going back 2 years of prediction, so there's going to be a lot of information in there.
Wow. Nice. What else? There's just like so much flooding in my head right now. It's kind of crazy. So I do have, the flyer will come out on Monday for Detroit Lakes. And so I have you down as a speaker for that day. So if anybody's in that area or wants just to come to the show and meet Jenny and enjoy being in her presence, please do. We're doing Alexandria on Saturday and then Detroit Lakes on Sunday. So it is far enough apart,
right,
but still close enough together that I can advertise you in Alexandria to bring people over,
right,
too. So yeah,
I think it's going to be good. And I think, and I talked to Kelly. I said, the difference about these events that Spirit always tells me is, you build it, we'll bring it. And that's there has to be an energy with that, those events.
Yes.
and I kind of, that's the first thing I notice is I feel that energy out. And I've been telling people for a long time that Detroit Lakes is dying for it, needs the nourishment for it. And I'm just like, it was great when I found out that you guys were coming in and doing that because they need it badly.
When we do shows, I mean, we have our normal haunts, so to speak, normal cities that we go to. But when I pull up a map and go, all right, where do we need to go?
Right.
And, I'll pull up a Google map on my screen and whatever feels like it's like pulling at me, I'll go to that spot on the map and go, okay, that's like in the middle of nowhere. But if that's what you want me to do.
Yeah, exactly.
What we'll do, like Brainerd, Minnesota. My gosh, I thought that was, that's 80 miles from the end of the world.
Right.
For us, and or the end of you get to the lake there, and I'm like, what's in Brainerd?
Right.
I didn't Google it. I didn't like go, what's all there and all that good stuff. They just kept saying do Brainerd, and I'm like, all right, we'll do Brainerd, but we're doing a 2-day show, and we did the thing on Saturday night. Try to keep things up and beat and stuff, and like 470 people come through the door over the weekend. It's like, wow.
That's about bringing it.
Thank you. Yeah. Just being so blessed that we can get things to people, so yeah, so that was a question. So like we're doing this little conference next year here in Eau Claire, I believe is where we're going to do it. And, I want to bring all aspects together, the paranormal, the UFO community, all aspects together. So, and you get, it's almost like, okay, do I section it off and you walk through this door and you go to paranormal, and you walk through this door and you go to UFO, and you walk through this door and you go, whatever the case may be, or do I just mess it all together?
I think the paranormal and the UFO actually really go together anyway. They do.
And I think if people would just understand that everything we do goes together.
Right. Because it does, with especially those two fields together, because you have some people think it's paranormal event and paranormal activity, and it's not. It's alien activity. So, yeah. So, I mean, those two work well together and coincide with information and do a lot of research. So, yeah, I think that's the best thing ever, is to put them together.
So I just seen a cryptid. So what is your view on Bigfoot?
I know a lot about that. And just because I live by a ley line, and I didn't pay attention to them until I heard them. And so, and he's Roger's a friend of mine that has 7 or 8 graves over there of giants. And so that's a whole different avenue of, he is seeing boar crocs. He has been attacked. There's been it's like just a portal that's open in that area. It's just a huge history in Twin Valley if you looked it up.
Okay.
And so they're dimensional beings. They know your intentions again. It's not something where they're just hanging out in the woods. They come into a dimensional process.
Yeah, I agree. I've always felt that when people start talking about it, we've been, I've met different people that do investigating and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, they don't live here.
Mm-mm.
They don't live here at all. They just come and they show up, and you might get lucky and see them. But
right.
So one of my favorite shows to watch is Skinwalker Ranch.
Oh yes, and
have you ever tuned in there?
Yes, that's Native connection.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay.
I've always heard that when I got the intention. There's a Native process, and they're very territorial about that area completely. And so as humans, we think we can just get into everything and take everything, and then that process, and then they realize, they're like, ew, we should not even be in it.
And so we know from past history and past investigations and stuff that natives have a connection with extraterrestrials.
Yes, they do.
Which explains totally why in those shows, when they're doing things to disrupt the ground and the earth, UFOs show up.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's the process with ley lines, and pyramids are connected. They're connected together too. And I did a drawing on that. So if you look at all the ley lines that are on the United States or the world, and you look at the pyramids, I did a drawing on that, and they said, Jen, so you guys think that this planet was always here? No, we brought it in. And they showed me that eventually that's going to be turned back on. And that's why I go to that area ever so often. I went there yesterday because they're like, it's getting strong. And they showed me that on top of the pyramids, what's in the pyramids, on the very top of it, is what's in the ley lines. So, and you're talking all your ley lines are like this all over the world. Now, you just got all the pyramids. I did a drawing of that too, and how that's connected, but they don't want you to know that. You see all that ley lines everywhere.
Nice.
So then, because then that would be energy that they don't want you to recognize, and how it works, and how those pyramids, some of those pyramids they brought them here. And see how you're looking at it as a dimensional process. Here's kind of what I showed you with the pyramids and the ley lines. So they're showing the pyramids and how they're connected to the ley lines, and then it goes into the center.
Oh, wow. Very cool.
So they showed me all this stuff. So when energy shifts and changes, they said that this process, it's going to go back into an activation mode. They're going to get turned back on. And that's not even counting the ones that are in the rivers, ones that are in the ocean, ones that are under the ice. And recently they were telling me, I did a thing on Instagram showing, they're like, Jen, there's a volcano in Antarctica, and that's going to become active soon.
Wow. I wonder if we don't go through this this meltdown that we're going through, so to speak, up in, like in Antarctica and the glaciers and all that stuff, so things can be revealed.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's melting for a reason, and then it has to go doing with the reptilians, because the reptilians can't survive in that environment. They need the ice. Okay. So when that's gone, their protection barrier areas, that used to be a tropical place. And they've showed me when I started doing humble healing, they showed me, I didn't know anything about flat earth until they like, Jen, everything that is connected, it's a root of a tree at the bottom of our planet. That is connected to everything. This planet cannot be nourished without that tree. And I did a drawing with Creator, and that's the first thing he shows me. He shows that is on the back of his cloak, is like that. Here, I'll show you it. That this tree, and I'll show you this. This is the tree that's rooted to the earth. This is our world. It's part of creation and nature and everything. This is important. Nothing can happen on the planet without that tree. So, and then his energy goes up, and then 3 pyramids. Well, 3 pyramids components are always, and that's where they talk about the artifacts, and they show me everything above 3 pyramids coincide together is a compartment that man cannot reach, but there it is there. And then you have the 7 sisters of the 7 stars, and then you have the real sun that's outside the firmament, and then Creator leading you into the new energy of the golden ages.
That is beautiful.
So we have to, as a society, understand that everything we've been taught has been a lie. And now we have to go back and relearn things and see it for yourself. And the best way to do that is to go within yourself to get the answers, because that's going to be the true information. Right now, what you're seeing is all this mirage that's going to come down, and then you're going to have to sit in the truth in yourself. That's the
I
whole
agree.
thing.
Well, my dear, it is 12:05. It's been so great, and I'm so excited to see you in Detroit Lakes.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
I will, we put your link up for the website.
Yeah, for remote viewing classes, mediumship classes, intuitive classes, I do all that, and then I do set up sessions over the phone and through the internet.
Cool. So thank you again, and I will see you soon.
Okay, take care.
Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye. All righty.
The truth is here, and
That's all right, Todd. I was just going to say thanking everyone for being here, and we will see you next week. Have some interesting stuff coming up next week as well. So, yeah, Jenny has opened my eyes to a few things, and I need to do some diving and see where else we can go with this. And it's going to be amazing. I love our journey. I love all the people that's come into our triangle. We just can't make it happen anymore. So, love you all. See you next week.
the truth is here and now on WLTK-DB Talk Radio at WLTK-DB.com.